Announcements. If you're in the practice period, the All Sangha practice period tea is this Sunday from 10 to 12 at Ellen's house. And if you didn't get the invitation and the email, let Ellen know. It'd be lovely to see everyone there. The next all-day sit is November 12th. I think, did I get it right this time? And we'll be sending out information soon about the December Rahatsu Buddha's Enlightenment retreat, which is a 2-day retreat. And the end, and I'm not even going to say the close of the practice. I can't say the practice period. There's the closing ceremony of the practice period, but I just don't even understand what that means because we just opened the practice period. So mostly it's like, time is swiftly passing. Don't waste this life. Pay attention. And you've only just begun. Okay.
Today's bag lunch day.
Oh, and today is Big Lunch Day. Thank you for reminding us. So the Lotus Sutra. I brought show and tell. I'm just mostly going to utilize one of the books this time. Thich Nhat Hanh, Opening the Heart of the Cosmos, Insights on the Lotus Sutra, and whatever the it's been republished, but it's just look for Thich Nhat Hanh and the Lotus Sutra. Stories of the Lotus Sutra is really wonderful because it condenses the phrase, all the discursive and the verses, and does a really nice commentary. And the direct Lotus Sutra, direct from the Buddhas and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas across time and space, translated by Jean Reeves, is what I'm going to call on today. And the and the translation that I've been using. Although we have another translation, a PDF on the website and the newsletter that you can call on. So we have opened the Lotus Sutra. The Lotus Sutra is opening us. We are beginning to maybe intuit, have flashes of insights, moments that probably disappear as quickly as they arise. Like, what was that? But it's cellular, it's molecular. It's like the spiritual and the mundane is not separate. Form and emptiness. There is form and emptiness, that's the way we cognize, but it's this. And the Lotus Sutras really wants us to know that and to enter it. Because it's only through really entering and giving ourselves to these parables and to our lives and to these flashes, these moments, something that we feel like we've always known. That the Buddha Dharma, not as something, but as love and peace, and sounds of and guidance of how to live in this beautiful, crazy world. It opens it. It opens our hearts. It opens our minds. And it opens and provides a ground in which, both as we witness in our own lives and around us and in the news, it provides a ground how can there simultaneously be joy and so much sadness and pain? How can there be the beauty of the light on the spring day, fall day, summer day, winter day, frost. And the news that we keep receiving. Of suffering. So, what the Lotus Sutra is going to keep pointing at over and over again is, you're all a Buddha. Everybody is a Buddha waking up to be a Buddha. Everybody, everything, all beings. Buddha nature is. There's not one vehicle that's higher or lower than another. It's all part of the one vehicle of profound, ungraspable, evanescent oneness of all things, of love, not small love. So we have been turning toward parables. Constance gave us the burning house. On Tuesday, I talked about the parable of the rich father and the poor son. Today, we're going to turn towards one of my most favorites as a gardener. The parable of, it's named different ways, the parable of herbs, the parable of medicinal plants, one great cloud, and many kinds of plants. So, because I'm gaining great merit if I read this to you. and you all are getting great merit on all the plants and medicinal clouds and moon and so everywhere by as we turn towards just let the words thinking. I think Suzuki Roshi was amazing. And that when he said, it's like walking in a light rain and getting wet all the way through, I think I don't know, but it seems to me it arose from this parable. He just was so seeped in it, so soaked in it, that's how he expressed it. So just let the rain of this parable, this Dharma rain of this parable, please just touch you. So the Buddha this time is talking to Kashyapa. He more and more, and you'll see, is talking to particular people, talking to everyone, realms and realms beyond past, present, and future, and now very particular people, you and you and you and you. It's just, we're all called Kashyapa. Kashyapa, I teach them according to their strengths with various explanations so that us will gain right views. You should know, Kashyapa, it is like a great cloud rising over the earth, covering everything, everywhere. A beneficent cloud full of moisture, lightning flashing across the sky, and the sound of thunder reverberating afar, bringing joy to all. The sun's rays are hidden, and the earth becomes cool. The cloud descends and spreads as if it might be touched or plucked from the sky. The rain falls everywhere, coming down on all sides, flowing everywhere without limit, reaching over the face of the earth, into the hidden recesses of mountains, streams, and steep valleys, where plants and trees grow and medicinal herbs, big trees and small, 100 grains, rice seedlings, sugarcane, and grapevines. All are moistened by the rain and abundantly enriched. The dry ground is soaked and both herbs and trees flourish. By the same water that comes from that cloud, plants, trees, thickets, and forests, according to their need, receive moisture. All the trees, superior, middling, or inferior, each according to its size, can grow and develop. Roots, stems, branches, and leaves, blossoms and fruits in brilliant color. One rain goes to all, and all become bright and shiny. Though their bodies, forms, and capacities may be large or small, the moisture they receive is the same, enabling each to flourish. The Buddha is like this, appearing in the world like a great cloud, universally covering all things. Having appeared in the world for the sake of living beings, he makes distinctions in teachings, the reality of all things. In the midst of all beings, the Buddha declares, I am the Tathagata. I appear in the world like a great cloud to shower water on all parched beings, to free them from suffering, and so attain the joys of peace and comfort, the joys of this world and the joy of nirvana. With one wonderful voice, I fluently explain the meaning for the sake of the great vehicle, always citing causes and conditions. I look upon all things without exception as equal. I look upon all things without exception and equal. I have no interest anywhere in favoring one over another, or in cherishing one or hating another. I have no greed or attachments. I am always impartial. At all times and for all, I teach the Dharma equally as I would to one person, so I preach it to the many. I always preach the Dharma, so I've never done anything else. Coming or going, sitting or standing, I never get weary or downhearted. I have nourished the whole world like the rain that enriches everywhere. Eminent and humble, high and low, precept keepers and precept breakers, those of great character and those who are imperfect, those of correct views and those of wrong views, quick-witted and dull-witted. I have the Dharma reign equally on all, without sparing or neglecting any. When any living being staying in any environment hears the Dharma, they receive it according to their abilities. Boy, do we need this. So, simile puts the focus on the universality of the Dharma and the equality of all living beings, leaving no one out. So clear. Precept keepers, precept breakers. We watch our minds. Had it yesterday, lost it today. I got it today. You sure don't have it. I mean, 100 million ways that the mind does this. It's just here. It's everywhere. We just keep taking breath in the backward step. Just here, just this. Deep vow, saving all beings is recognizing the Buddha nature in everything. Even when you don't believe it. Even when you can't believe. Come on. Whatever the doubt, there's cynical doubt and there's great doubt. Buddhism talks about cynical doubt and great doubt. Cynical doubt is like, I mean, you can sort of kind of have a sense of. Great doubt is, what is it? It's like, I hear this teaching. I hope you do too. And it feels true. It feels like the deepest truth of everything. And so when I come up against some limitation or some, I don't get it. It's like, it's right there that you just take a breath and you affirm your vow and you move into don't know mind. And then see what happens next, over and over again, forever. The Buddha like a great cloud covering the entire earth, dispensing, raining universal moisture, falling everywhere. Living beings nourished by the rain alike. An enormous variety of plants. That's what always comes up for me is my little garden mind. I just see all the little plants, you know, it's like, nobody's deciding you're going to get it. And you're anyway, it's very visual and visceral for me about plants and what plants look like in the rain, when rain's on their leaves, when it's going into the roots. This isn't intellectual. The rain nourishes all equally and penetrates everywhere. So Mahayana Sutras often describe 84,000 Dharma gates, at least. It's just a number. There are infinite numbers of teachings and methods by which living beings may be liberated. You are getting the exact perfect teaching that you need. Each person is. Some of it may look like great suffering. Something we would never wish on ourselves or anyone. Some of it may come in moments of joy or wonder. A bodhisattva job is to sit firmly and deeply rooted like a plant in the center of it. The little plant in the garden sits deeply rooted somehow. It helps the trees, and the trees being rooted help the little plants and the insects. So verses describe the Dharma as being of a single flavor. I love this language because it's so visceral. It's not head. It's like, I vow to taste the truth of the Tathagata's words. Just sit in the Dharma rain of being alive and let it penetrate every cell. Don't hold back. And when you do, that's it too. Each of us depends and is part of a vast network of all beings. We are all dependent on each other. And this is made real through the acts of ordinary people, through each of us, through our actions of body, speech, and mind. It's a big responsibility, and it's joyful. And if you can figure out something better to do, please do it. I remember thinking that decades ago. You can think out something else to do? Please. I just kept coming back here, that's all. So what happens then? That was chapter 4. Chapter 6, 8, and 9. We're going to come back to another parable because you're doing another parable on Tuesday. There's just more predictions. You're going to be Buddha. You're a Buddha waking up to be a Buddha. You too. And you too. And you too. So, but this time he continues being the Buddha. He keeps being very particular. So, and says names. Chapter 6 predicts his disciples, Kashyapa, Subhuti, Katyayana, Magdalani. Buddha, waking up to be Buddha, Buddha nature. Chapter 8, Buddha names and points out 500 arhats, those who thought they were done. They've gotten to nirvana. Yeah, what? You're not done. But the really good news is, whoa, it's all here for you. Then to all of his disciples, including those no longer present, and that's when 5,000 Buddhas walked out, 5,000 people walked out of the assembly. It's like, you couldn't name that person. Or we still believe in the Arhat. We got it. We were following your teachings and being really good, and now you're like changing the game, Buddha. I'm just not quite ready for this. So they walk out. But the ones who remain rejoice. Then in chapter 9, Ananda and Rahula. Ananda, his most beloved disciple. Maybe not most beloved, but just ordinary, beautiful, devoted Ananda. And Rahula, his son. You too, Buddha, waking up to be Buddha. And then 2,000 others, which Constance is going to tell us about more next week. And then the teachers of the Dharma. And anyone who recites, keeps, reads, recites, explains, or copies even a single verse of the Lotus Sutra, respects, makes offerings, bodhisattvas, Pratyeka Buddhas, Shravata Buddhas, lay men and lay women, Buddhas. I think we just got included in there. We each can open the Lotus Sutra for others through embodying it. And then, I have here, I'm reading this, chapter 10, I'm reading this for Constance. For all of us, but for Constance. It was really clear this morning when I looked at it. If you want to be no, that doesn't sound like I should say that, Constance. It says here, receiving it in faith is difficult. I put that in because and that it's really important that the mud gradually appears and be assured that the water is near. This is scary for, I mean, I don't know what it is, but I think it is. It's like, imagine if you could get up here and talk about the Lotus Sutra. And Buddha's saying, it's okay, you got it. You got it. Really trust. All of us. Face the multitude, all of us, without fear. Let them teach it clearly everywhere, with great compassion as their room, gentleness and patience as their robe, and the emptiness of all things as their seat. Doing this is how we teach the Dharma. Oh, and here's the one that I had especially for you. Whoever's teaching, if they forget sentences or words, I will tell them. It's like Buddha's whispering in all of our ears so that they can be thoroughly effective. See, you don't have to worry. You just stay in your body and you listen. It's just a little plant with deep roots and the whole world helping you. And then you see, okay, I don't know what to say, but somebody just whispered in my ear and maybe I'll try this. That's what we do. Then there are later editions. We're doing sort of a speeded up, completely entering the Lotus Sutra, but please go back and read it. There are later editions that were added in, and I don't think anybody, because these sutras have been around for a long time and people review them, and probably people have, according to the time, or hey, didn't that get left out? Or so these things are added later. Chapters 12, 13, and 14. So in chapter 12, you may think Devadatta, who is one of the worst people in Buddhist history because he tried to kill the Buddha, not to mention other stories, was Buddha's cousin, committed the 5 grave offenses. One of them is trying to kill the Buddha. think he stampeded a wild elephant and threw a rock down from a cliff, and because there was competition. David Datu broke off and said, this guy doesn't have it, I've got it, and a lot of people left. And anyway, we all can find those parts of ourselves, right? Even David Datu, oh, here it is, the first schism. David Datu tried to get 500 monks to leave the Buddha and practice with him. And then Buddha tells how in a previous life, David Datu, as a seer, has taught the Lotus Sutra to the king who was Buddha and set him on the path to Buddhahood. So even if somebody looks really bad in this lifetime, you may have been teaching and turning the Dharma that brought the Buddha of this lifetime to this moment. And we are so, it's all just moving and trading off so fast across time and space is like our views about this big. Even David Datu, a Buddha, waking up to be a Buddha. And then chapter 12, I'm going to speed this up because I want us to talk. No, I'm not. There's an 8-year-old dragon princess of a Naga king. Maybe when we study the Vimalakirti Sutra, there's something very similar. It's quite wondrous, and it's also misogynistic, because we learn that she has the capacity to be a Buddha, but the problem is that she has to change from a woman into a man. It's just like, come on. We know way better. But if we take the most fundamental point, is that it just happens, is like she can completely change in play and form. Whatever you think it is, what's your mind? What's true here? Okay. The emphasis is the ability to see the Buddha in everyone. And chapter 13, maybe to make up for the Naga princess. Although we knew this, nobody had to tell us. Mahapajapati and Yasodhara. Mahapajapati, who was Buddha's mother, and Yasodhara, who raised him and was his mother. They were, but he had essentially 2 mothers. They also are, of course, also going to wake up to be Buddhas. And that was probably added later to assure women, at least we had any doubt, that we too are Buddhists. That's why we're all here, is to assure people without, and ourselves, without any doubt, that we too are Buddhists. Okay. Let's go into small groups. Maybe 15 minutes.